Hey everybody, Erica Serwin here from Pink Buckaroo Designs, and today we are going to case myself. I'm casing myself. I was at the store and all the pumpkin spice things are out, and I saw these and I thought, wait a minute, I've made something for these before. These are Little Debbie pumpkin spice rolls. You can find them at a variety of stores. They are just a really fun little pumpkin treat, and I had made a box for these before, so I dug through the Pink Buckaroo archives and found how to make the box. Let me show you how it opens. It has this belly band that slides off, and then the lid opens like that. Now I have changed the design, and I took the opportunity to use one of our new basic pattern masks. Can you see that? It's kind of light. And it's sparkly, and I'm going to show you how to do that. It's really fun. This week I'm focusing on our basic pattern masks that are new in the 2019 holiday catalog. And so if you're interested in using these masks, let me show you this one. Make sure you go over to my blog and find the other posts. There will be actually an entire post from my Facebook Live that I will show you several projects using these different ways to use them. Okay, well, let's start by making this piece. Now, we're going to do a little creative cutting, if you will, to get that masked piece to turn into the belly band that fits around that box. So I'm going to show you that in a minute, but we're going to start out. I'm cleaning off my area a little bit, make sure I don't spritz everything. We're going to start off with a 6x6 piece of Mango Melody cardstock, and I'm just going to lay the mask right on top. Okay, we're going to use a spritzer, so there's really no reason to tape anything down. Nothing's going to move, so don't worry about that. This is one of our spritzers. You get 2 in a package, and they are $3 for a package. So I have dozens of these. And when I fill it with something, I make sure to write it on the side in Sharpie. So that way I know what's in there. Because let me tell you, when you throw them all in a box and you go to get one out, you can't remember what you put in there. So just take a Sharpie and write it on the side. So this one, I filled up about that full with rubbing alcohol, and I have 50% rubbing alcohol. The higher end alcohols, like the 90%, doesn't work with the shimmer paint that I've also put in here. So I grab one that's around 50%. Actually, I didn't even know there was a difference in rubbing alcohol until I got one that was high, and it didn't work. So anyways, try to stick with one of the lower percentages of the rubbing alcohol. Fill it about 3/4 of the way through. You take your ink refill and just squeeze. And guys, I don't even count. I just squeeze, maybe about 10 drops. You can always add more if it's not dark enough. Then I took this. This is our Frost White Shimmer Paint. And I just opened it and poured in a drop. That's all you need, is just a drop. So no specific measurements. It's like grandma's recipes, no exact measurements, but play around with it. And you can see that shimmer paint kind of swirling around in there. Okay, so once you have that ready, you need to clear your area because the spritzer never spritzes in the right direction that you want it the first time. Get some paper here, cover your workspace, and then you're just going to spritz. And you can spritz as little or as much as you want. I want this to be kind of a darker color so you can see it because it's tone on tone. I really needed to spritz quite a bit to make it show up. So there you have it. That rubbing alcohol is going to dry really quickly, but we're going to set it aside for a few minutes. Let me slide it over, and we're going to make the box while we're waiting for that to dry. Okay, so now for the box, you're going to need a piece of Very Vanilla cardstock that is 7 1/4 by 7. And don't feel like you have to frantically write these measurements down, because over on my blog, on that Facebook Friday post, there is a PDF that has all the measurements, all the products, all the score lines, everything you need. So you can just go over there and open it, save it, print it, whatever you want to do. Okay. So 7 1/4 by 7. On the long side, we're going to score at 1 1/4, 3 1/4, 4 1/2, and 6 1/2. Then turn it on the short side and score it at 1 1/4 and 5 3/4. Now I use Very Vanilla thick cardstock. It gives it a little more strength to hold your whatever you've got in there. Whisper White thick and Very Vanilla thick are really good, strong cardstocks. All right, now you want to take your scissors, and on the long side, we're just going to trim, we're going to snip all of those score lines first, okay? And when you get down to this part that I call the lip, this is the lip of the box, cut that rectangle out, okay? Now go back and cut the square tabs at an angle. You're just going to cut a sliver off of each one. The reason I do that is to make my box fit together a little bit better. Make sure we don't cut that one. It'll just kind of help things go together a little bit better. All right, so turn it to the other side. Do the same thing. We're going to cut out that end rectangle, and then we're going to snip all of our score lines. And then take a little sliver off of each of those square tabs. All right. Now come back over here to where your lip of the box is, and you want to cut that at an angle. That'll help it go into your box. And then these two rectangle tabs, we're actually going to cut them about in half and cut off those corners. These are the little tabs that tuck into the box, kind of prevent that gap from forming there, and they really aren't going to be seen, so don't worry about them being perfect. Okay, so there you go. That's what your piece looks like. If you want to pause the video to make sure yours looks just like it, that's what it looks like. Now flip it over, and we're going to, actually, let's do it on this side. On the front side, you're going to put adhesive on those 4 square tabs that you cut at an angle, okay? Now use tear and tape or Tombow liquid if you like it. I still have Fast Fuse left, so I'm using it. Now we're going to tuck those in and fold up those sides, making sure that everything is nice and square, and then do the same thing here. Get that guy tucked in, and there we go. Now you can see how your box opens, kind of like a cream cheese box, and then these will just tuck right in. Isn't that awesome? Not too difficult. And let's make sure our pumpkin spice roll fits in there, and look at that. It sure does. Okay, now let's go back. Let's pull this back over and see how it looks. Oh, that's beautiful. Can you guys see that? It's a tone on tone, so it's not real dark. It's very subtle, and it's giving your mango cardstock some texture and pattern. All right, now you want to grab your paper trimmer, which mine of course is across the room, and you're going to cut this in half, okay? So cut it right at 3. Then take your adhesive and see how we're making a longer strip here, just like that. Now we're going to use part of this piece for the belly band, and the other part we're going to use for the leaf. So now put it back on your paper trimmer, and look, I didn't cut mine even, so I'm going to cut a little sliver off of it to make sure I have that smooth edge. But then you want to cut it so that it's 7 inches long. You know, I think let's do 7.5. Let's do 7.5. All right, now take this and place this on the center, and we're going to kind of wrap it around. You don't need to really score this because you can just fit it to your box. So we've created that fold. Now I'm going to give it a nice crisp edge like that. And over here we did the same thing. So I'm going to give that a nice fold. All right, now we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to take this side and pinch, and this side and pinch, and we can do the same thing. You can even get your bone folder if you want it to be really nice and crisp. And now all we're going to do is put some adhesive right on there, and we've got a belly band. All right, now a belly band slides off, so you don't want to adhere it to the box. You just want to adhere it to itself, if that makes sense. See how that slides? Now I'm not too worried about that seam because we're going to cover it up with all the goodies that we have, okay? All right, let's take this piece over to our die cut machine. And you can actually get several leaves out of here. We've got different size leaves in the Come Together set. So we could probably get a big one and a small one. Maybe a pumpkin would fit in there, one of the pumpkin dies. Okay. There we go. Now I'm going to take my mango ink. I've had very inky fingers this week playing with all of these sponges and masks and spritzers, but the ink will wash off. Usually when you go to take a shower, it all comes off. All right, see how I'm just inking the edges there just to kind of give it some more oomph, if you will. All right, now we've got several pieces here. I've already cut another leaf here out of the Early Espresso Designer Series paper. And here are one of our wooden accents. I'm going to use that leaf. And I've got a strip of Very Vanilla. And we're going to stamp this wonderful stamp set. I have really been using this stamp set a bunch lately. I wish for everything. And there really is something here for most holidays, which I really like. So we're using the one that says, giving thanks for you with a very grateful heart. I kind of thought these would be nice if you were having Thanksgiving at your house. These would be nice little table, table favors that you could set at everybody's place. You could even put their name on it. All right, so I've stamped it in Early Espresso just on a strip of Very Vanilla. I've got another piece of the Neutrals Designer Series paper, and it is 4.5 by 1.5, and I'm using my tailored tag punch to punch those ends. You could also use your triple banner punch, but when you do that, you got to make sure your paper is a little bit longer because it tends to take about 3/4 of an inch off of each end. With a tailored tag punch, I can see exactly where I'm punching it, so I don't have to make it quite as long. All right, so right there with some dimensionals. Let's start with our big, beautiful leaf in the back, like that. And we'll do our... Can you tell I like dimensionals? Never too many dimensionals. Isn't that contrast of those colors beautiful? All right, now this leaf has a little bit of white ink on one side, but I want just that raw edge. So I am actually putting the adhesive there. All right, now let's get our tailored tag punch again and see how you can see exactly where you're punching it. So you don't have to worry too much about, getting it the exact right size. All right, I'm going to slide that right there. Oh, so fun. Now, my projects would not be complete without a bow, and we have some linen thread over here hiding. So I'm going to take a piece of linen thread. The linen thread is just really kind of a rustic trim that I love for, well, for all my projects, but especially for fall related projects and masculine projects. You can really get away with a bow on a masculine project when it's linen thread. And ta-da, we are done. I put that on with a mini glue dot. We can kind of get that little guy to come down or out, and voila, you have a fun fall themed maybe Thanksgiving project, or send it to school with your kids and just let their teacher know how grateful you are. Or maybe your mailman or mail lady, or maybe a friend. The possibilities are endless. So take advantage of those fun pumpkin spice treats in the stores and use your new basic pattern masks to create something kind of out of the norm. All right, you guys, let me know if you have questions. Make sure you hop over to my blog and grab that PDF. Have a great one. Bye-bye.